But the conversation continues here on TV3 New Day. And by the way, we're streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana, and also we're on Twitter, Instagram at TV3 Ghana. Let us hear from you. We have a conversation right now with the General Secretary for the NDC. In fact, just about 2 days ago or so, he celebrated exactly 1 year since he was voted into office as the General Secretary for the party. And quite a number of things he talked about. Of course, what voters will be looking forward to in the 2024 elections and how he intends to rally together the supporters of the party to ensure that victory would be theirs in 2024. Are they close to it? Do you think that the NDC has worked hard enough to earn back the trust of Ghanaians and, of course, to get the mandate to rule the nation again? Mr. Fiifi Fiavi Kwetey is here with us, and it's such a pleasure speaking to you a few days before Christmas. So Merry Christmas in advance.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bella, and Merry Christmas to you,
you.
all your colleagues here, and all your many viewers across the country.
Definitely. Thank you. What's the plan for Christmas? Do you have any plans?
You know, I mean, politicians, you can never be too sure.
Oh.
So many programs, even this Christmas. So I just hope at least we will have a bit of time for family as well. So
exactly, and to rest a bit. Especially because it's exactly a year to the elections. But happy anniversary to you.
Thank you.
It's been 1 year.
Yeah, it flew by very quickly.
It did.
I was a bit surprised myself. Like, wow, 1 year, so already here.
How's it been, being the General Secretary of the party?
Very eventful, very eventful. And I would say full of, I mean, a lot of learning, a lot of challenges ahead as usual, lots of things that have been done, and then we believe that we can actually do a lot more, especially as we enter into the election year. You
say lots of learning. What have you learned so far in this position?
You learn all the time, really. I see that it's always good to have a very, it's a spirit you must have to be open to picking as much as possible. Learning to work with different people, because it's been a while. I've not been at the party leadership. So, I mean, working with that whole new team, working in a whole different perspective with parliamentary leadership, working with the parliamentary caucus, different aspects of the party, the various organs. I've been at the party leadership before, but not as General Secretary. So clearly it's a whole different experience. So it's been quite, every single day has been eventful, trying to understand the best way we can to help the party to be ready.
How's the new leadership in Parliament on the side of the NDC doing so far?
I would say they've basically taken over very well. The transition has been good. As you can see, even in the recent performances in terms of rallying together to keep the unity of the caucus, to do exactly what is good for the country and for the party as well. I think really.
Well, as leadership, and of course, you are literally the CEO of the party. Your chairman had mentioned at the time when changes were made to the leadership of the party that the economy was going to play a focal role in the 2024 elections, which is why, for example, the minority leader position was given to the one who runs it now. But there was a lot of hue and cry about how those changes were even made at that time. On hindsight, do you think that the party leadership could have done better in how it handled the change in leadership in Parliament?
I would say really a lot of what has gone under
but do you regret some of the decisions?
No, the thing is that you take decisions always with a view to what is in overall interest for the party. I've been myself in different positions of the party, and at all moments, decisions are taken. It's nothing personal. It often has to do with the party. It's just like a football team, really. You look at the team, and you look at the way forward. It might require some changes that need to happen, whether it's going to be in the attack or in the defense or in the midfield. You do what you got to do. So naturally, as you know, no changes come with happiness across. You naturally are moving people in position. So naturally, some of the people, including their supporters, will not be happy. But the thing of leadership is to try to still be able to first place the interests of the larger party, in view, what it is you want to accomplish, and rally together, try to work to, should I call it, mollify those individuals as they move out of position. And the way you handle it is always the best. And I would say, really, in our situation, we've tried as much as possible to show that it was nothing personal. It wasn't done with a view to harming any individual. We're just looking at what we thought should be the way he ought to go for the party.
What's your current relationship with Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka Mubarak?
I would say I've always tried to keep very. These are colleagues of mine way back, especially Haruna has been forever. I mean, comrade and brother. So I would say that we are good.
There's nothing, no bad blood between even you and Muntaka, for example,
because it's never been personal. So for me, there will be no. It's not personal.
Not at all. Muntaka, for example,
I work as MP. And Muntaka was my chief whip.
He was.
I was ranking member at a point. A point came in the light of the conversation. I mean, they consulted me and said, I don't have a problem leaving the ranking member position.
Yeah.
I mean, for another person. And my own good Kofi Boa took over as ranking for trade and industry. I stepped in another role. So these are things that you don't take personal. I mean,
but you were consulted about it when those changes were being made.
Yeah, but
did you consult, Haruna, for example, and Muntaka about these changes?
Yeah, but don't forget that when it comes to parliamentary changes, it's not always the same as what you do if you were, let's say, a ranking under somebody and the person wanted to bring about some changes. When it comes to parliamentary, the changes we do are different in nature. I mean, it's more about party leadership. Now, also about consultation, what you have to appreciate all the time is if we feel, for example, that there's a need to take some decisions, we do. The process relating to this one in particular, even though word is that consultation was not done at the level of parliamentary leadership. Let's just say that in the light of how the party overall saw it, we thought the best approach was how we went about it.
Which means what? That
which
to
means
not
that,
consult them and to go ahead and organize what people would describe as a coup?
No, the thing, don't forget that the positions are not personal positions. These are positions that you are given as a result of the party leadership thinking what it thought. You understand? So the same way when, for example, they were being put in place, I mean, that same approach was used. So the party leadership took a decision, and that decision was communicated.
So it was right for them not to be consulted?
No, I'm saying that going forward, there's always, in fact, in the light of when this thing happened, we did have a conversation, because you remember, it went all the way to Council of Elders. Communication was done to and fro. We decided that, listen, we can always learn and try to, let's say, improve the processes.
So you admit then that this process wasn't entirely the best way to go?
What I would admit is that this process was not totally different from what it used to be.
Okay.
Good. So going forward, if we want to, let's say, take it to that next level, we can all agree to say, okay, this is what we've done from the past to now. This is what we could do into the future, because it must always be a dynamic situation. It's not a static situation at all. So you look at the changes, the evolution, and on the back of that, you decide, okay, the next level, we could do it this way.
Why is the leadership plotting, if I could use that word, to take Muntaka out of Parliament? Because this is an accusation that he leveled against some members at the leadership level of the NDC. Again, he said that that's because, Haruna Idrisu, for example, is not running again for MP. And so he felt as if that was a deliberate attempt then to also prevent him from running or winning his seat so he can represent the NDC in Parliament.
No, I mean, that would be unfortunate, because the truth is this, talking about plotting against you, if we really wanted to plot against you, then we will not just be removing you. We'll come all the way out into your constituencies to try and work against you. And I don't know anybody at the level of NDC leadership that did anything like that. We made sure at our level, we set up system that would create as fair competition as possible. And Muntaka will be the first to appreciate, for example, that he never would have had a General Secretary Fiifi Kwetey talking to anybody in his constituency or his delegate to vote against him, or Asielu Nketia to do
maybe not openly, but could it have been done clandestinely? And I'm not saying you in particular, but he did say some members of the leadership.
And to what purpose? The truth is, Bella, you should appreciate, in this business of politics, you don't always expect that everybody is going to support you. I mean, when I was running for General Secretary, I'm not delusional enough to say, for example, every single one of my friends who was even in Parliament supported me. It's normal that some people may not support. It may not even be personal. It's just that maybe they prefer another person to you. So it must always be, luckily, man enough to appreciate that even Jesus Christ will not love of everybody. So not everybody would necessarily support you. So when situations that happen, you are man enough to appreciate that, listen, it's okay. Some people may not like me, but it may not necessarily be a system that is working against you. You may have individuals who maybe don't like you.
I see.
So you must be big enough to appreciate that.
You've been a former deputy finance minister, and of course, then you do understand how critical the economy is when it comes to elections. Even your chairman has said it himself, that the reason why some of these changes are being made within the party itself is because the economy is going to play a critical role, and so you need to put the right leaders in place. As it stands now, what do you make of the economy, and do you think that the NDC stands a chance of fixing it if indeed you say that the economy is not doing too great, and Ghanaians will vote based on that?
Again, very good question, Bella. What I will tell you is simple. First, let's look at the economy as it was ahead of 2017 when the current government took over, and then look at what it is now, and then be able to make a projection into what we should be looking into the future. The economy as it is now, you can clearly see, is on its knees. This is an economy that really has become what you call a junk economy. I don't remember the last time that we actually were in a stage where we have become so literally so down that we literally had to go even beg because we cannot even honor our debt obligations. That you cannot honor, for example, interest payments. It's never happened in our history. I don't remember the last time it happened. Maybe during the military regime before even PADC took over. We never had that. Now, if you reach that stage, it tells you that your case is absolutely a serious matter. That's one. The levels of suffering in our country, I don't think anybody needs to. I don't need to be the one to speak about it. You speak about clear suffering, an economy that is really like making ordinary people to suffer. Not in terms of inflation, but in terms of the debt levels, that is even affecting our pensioners. That today, even people who have made contributions for their pension, I'm talking workers, for example, whether it's private sector workers or even public sector workers, the monies that they think they have put aside for their pension tomorrow, the value of that quantum of money today has absolutely become much, much little because of what has happened to the currency, what has happened to inflation, and the fact that even a lot of them are not even too sure whether they can even have access to some of those monies very quickly. Now, so these are some of the things that you can see clearly and say that this economy is absolutely battered, is down. Worst part is when you continue picking all these lies about the fact that the main reason why the economy is what it is because of, it's not because of anybody mismanaging the economy, but because of the war in Russia and Ukraine, and also because of COVID. When it's pretty obvious that so many countries all around us have gone through the same, Russia and Ukraine have gone through the same COVID, and none of them are at the level where we are. So not only is the economy very terribly being mismanaged, we also are having that levels of lack of honesty, lack of humility to accept that we who are in charge of the management of this economy have rendered this economy the way it is. And that becomes difficult. Because if you're not able to tell the truth about what it is that is facing you and the fact that you actually have not done well, how on earth will you be humble enough to receive even ideas in terms of how to get it done? Now, the economy before they came into office was not heaven. It was not paradise.
We were at the IMF when they took over.
Yeah, but being an IMF per se is not necessarily the tragedy.
It's not a tragedy.
No, it's not tragedy.
What is it?
It is our friends. It's our friends who actually went in opposition, who made it look like going to the IMF was absolutely the crime that anybody can commit. I mean, being the IMF, we've been as a country, we've been to the IMF several times.
Yeah.
The IMF per se is not a problem. It's like going to a bank. If you're a business and you go to the bank, the fact that you go to a bank doesn't mean that your business is bad.
But in this case, we're going to that bank because we're broke. Yeah, because we've not managed the economy properly.
No, but I'm coming. I'm trying to build a point.
Okay.
I'm saying that going to the bank itself is not always a problem. You can go to a bank sometimes simply because you are temporarily being challenged. Your cash flow situation is such that you need some temporary respite in order to be able to tide over. Yeah. It doesn't mean that your general management of your business is poor. So you can go to a bank for that purpose. The difference between the IMF this time around and the previous time we've gone to the IMF, you see, for example, in the previous time when you had to go to IMF, we didn't go to IMF the last time because we were broke.
Why did we go?
Because if you notice carefully, throughout that period that we went to the IMF, even the last time, the total money that you were getting for the IMF itself was what? Maximum $1 billion. Maximum $1 billion. I even think at the time it was even lower. And even though that period, it didn't even come to all of us, it didn't all come to the NDC. A lot of it came and MPP took it over and so on. The major reason why we went to IMF at the time was because we faced situation that required that we needed some kind of what IMF gives you is to be able to let the financial market have a bit more confidence in you. To tell the financial market that, you know what, we have checked the books, we are sure that these guys are in a position to deliver what they promise. So have confidence in them to be able to, as it were, do business with them. So you need that sometimes when you go through a temporary difficulty. We are going through temporary difficulty. Doomsday was quite a problem. That challenged the economy. It was not our doing. We made Doomsday. It was not something that was caused by the government. It happened cyclically from Rawlings time through Kufuor, through Prof Mills. To understand that, we say when we entered into the oil economy, what we needed to do was to actually ramp up the supply side of energy, which unfortunately 8 years of Kufuor hadn't done very well. So we needed to, as it were, ramp that up in order to meet the challenge. That's what happened in terms of Doomsday. So there was a dislocation between how much power we had and how much the demand was, because oil cost quite a lot of that demand. So we faced a bit of that Doomsday thing, which affected. We also had the crisis that led to, for example, a lot of people forget, countries like Nigeria, countries like even Argentina, had even South Africa had major problems to the extent that even their currencies were hit very, very hard around 2014 thereabout. And Ghana was also faced at the same time. So these are things that affected us temporarily, and we needed to get that confident. The difference between this situation and that is that even before 2019, NPP, the economy was already having massive issues. Deficits are started going up very high. The cedi depreciation at the close of 2019 was higher than 2016, which NPP claimed was supposed to be a bad economy already. So the deficits were getting high, the cedi depreciation was high. So the economy started showing signs that there is trouble.
Was it
In
really?
fact,
I remember
the World Bank director actually, even after COVID came and said, listen, the problem did not start with COVID. The problem predated COVID.
But they had projected a growth rate of about 9% even at that time. So we were growing at that time, even before COVID hit.
No, don't forget, even in terms of the growth rate, the truth, the only two high growth rates they've been able to experience were 17 and 18, and that actually was inherited growth. Because by the close of 2016, the World Bank, the IMF, all the international financial market, and those who matter knew already that Ghana was on course towards having what you call a growth of no less than 8%. So it was inherited growth. Both 2017 and 2018. So effectively, the period of some kind of stability and some kind of performance that NPP has seen is a period because of what NDC left over for them. Not as soon as they themselves took over, which was like from 2019, you can see the troubles already.
So you're saying that what you left for them was the IMF deal?
What we left for them is not just the IMF deal. What we left for them, for example, was, 2 oil fields that we are totally finalized and ready to come on stream. That was going to give the economy a boost in terms of growth. We left that for them. What we left for them, for example, was a stable situation which saw cedi depreciated by about maximum 9%, which compared to what they came, because by 2019, the cedi already gone up by almost 13% depreciation. By 2019 already, it was already a worse scenario than our case. What we left for them also was a solution to Doomsday, even though they've tried so hard to lie about it, trying to deceive the country that they came and resolved Doomsday. Anybody who actually does even a track back will know that Doomsday actually was resolved before we left power in 2016. So these are things that you do. You leave behind a legacy that shows some kind of stability. We left for them, for example, cocoa production was that was almost close to another 1 million metric tons. We left, that's about 960,000 metric tons. We left for them things like Ghana Exim, which they have now used to do a lot of their so-called 1D, 1F. We left for them even things like buffer stock that they have used, for example, to push through this whole talk about what's the name, planting for food. These are legacies that we left for them. So that's what you do. You leave a legacy that allows your successor to be able to run. But unfortunately, what legacy are they leaving for Ghana now is a totally collapsed economy.
So how are you going to resurrect this economy that you describe as totally collapsed?
Yeah, what you do is first and foremost to show that, because don't forget, they met an economy. It tells you there was a certain management that was in place for them to be able to find that economy the way they did. And the people who were in charge of that economy was us. So we already have shown that we are capable of taking the economy to a certain place that they could, for example, become advantaged by it. That's the first one. Don't forget, even in the most difficult moment in 2016, for example, we spent the whole of that final year, which was also an election year, without getting one cedi coming from the central bank. And in spite of that, we still were able to leave the economy that we left behind and so on. So that shows already that we have what it takes to be able to put in place a situation where that economy can be much more stable. Unemployment rates, by the close of 2016 is not what it is today. It's gone much higher. Now, so you're already talking about a group that has shown not just to have the experience, but the capacity to at least keep the economy at a certain level of stability. over the period of, let's say, 7 years now, getting into 8 years, we've had opportunity in opposition to be able to have a proper review, and that review means our capacity to be able to look at how we've done it and learn how to do it much better.
Okay.
Clearly also seeing the way they've gone about it, because a lot of what they've gone through has been nothing short of, should I call it, trying too hard to deceive people. And that deception is at the bottom of every problem they face. For example, they came into office deceiving people that, you know what, we are capable of coming and reducing taxation and at the same time growing the economy. Like they said, there's enough money in the country had. So all we needed to do was to reduce taxes, and then through that, I mean, how did they boast about it? Dr. Baumia claimed that they were changing the country from taxation to what?
To production.
To production.
Yeah.
Today, you clearly see that that whole thing was a lie, because their way of getting power was simply to deceive. We are going to make sure we don't go through that kind of deception. We don't go lying to the country about things that cannot easily be done. We are not going to just throw about promises like they did. I mean, just promising the heaven, believing that once you can promise the moon, your people are going to...
But you're promising a 24-hour economy.
Yeah, but 24-hour economy is not something that is impossible to achieve.
Okay.
Because most of it has to do with policies, using policies to be able to, as it were, stimulate an economy. It's different from a situation where you need to go borrow, let's say, 10 billion before you can implement it. That's not really what it is. It's about making sure you use your policies to be able to create that situation that will allow a lot of people to get much more involved. So, for example, we're talking about access to power, providing better security, using what you call the tax incentive. Those are things that you can use to be able to get that done without necessarily having to maybe go to some IMF or something to go and borrow some huge money before you can get that done. So these are things that we believe we can do. And we've done.
Dr. Baumia says that the 24-hour economy is already running. It's about demand. And so if some sectors are running it already, he doesn't see how you claim that this is a new policy altogether. Yeah,
but then... how credible is Dr. Baumia? If there's one individual that over the years has shown to absolutely have, should I call it, very little credibility. I was going to say zero credibility, but there's no human being that will have complete zero credibility, but very little credibility. That is Dr. Baumia. Now, so this is an individual who claimed he had a magic wand for the economy. An individual who actually told us that if you want to determine how well an economy is, just look at the performance of the currency. And today, that same currency has absolutely disgraced both him and his government, and he's still having the courage to even speak. In another situation where there's a little bit of shame, to be honest with you, Dr. Baumia will not even have the audacity to be able to present himself to want to move from a vice president position to become a president. He's so dented. He's such a damaged personality. His credibility is so tattered. That ordinary, if there is just a little shame, Baumia should have absolutely the honor to say, I'm not continuing this because I have proven myself to be nothing reliable, nothing credible, nothing trustworthy. The people of Ghana cannot have it.
But his people have voted for him to represent the party.
Yeah,
that means that they believe that there is some credibility and he can actually turn things around.
No, which is a shame, because, I mean, of course, MPP are an opposition party, I mean, opponents to us. And normally we should actually be happy when they make such a mistake. But to be honest with you, the choice of Baumia basically is a bad choice for them.
It is?
Yeah, it is definitely a bad
choice.
You
didn't even think that in the first place, even a Muslim or a Northerner would become flag bearer of the NPP?
I never said that.
You never said that?
No,
what did you say exactly?
What I said back in time was given especially what the case was with Aliyu Mahama. Aliyu Mahama was never chosen in the first place on the back of his own, what you call, pedigree. He was chosen purely as a token to be able to throw some dust in the face of our brethren who are in the northern part of Ghana and also our Muslim brothers, that you know what, we have put you also on the ticket. So I predicted and accurately said so that, listen, they were going to dump Aliyu Mahama the least opportunity. And that truly proved to be the case.
Okay.
I've not said concerning Baumia that he's not capable of becoming. The thing that when you look at if you look at the history of the NPP world, they have shown to be a people who have shown that kind of history of throwing tokens around. Pick somebody from a certain place just to satisfy some tokenism, not so much because they have real belief and trust in the person. I would say credit to them. In the case of Baumia, I will not say they chose Baumia for token purposes because he was supposed to have some pedigree, having been a former deputy Bank of Ghana governor. So they claim he was going to be their messiah economically. But the point I'm making is that he has shown it to be a total disaster. So when such a person speaks about 24-hour economy, the lack of credibility of such a person, the damaged nature of that person, if I were him, I should have been quiet. Bawumia should absolutely be quiet. If he has any little shame left, he should be quiet.
But they could say same with the former president, John Dramani Mahama.
In what way?
Because they would say that, of course, I mean, which is why Ghanaians voted him out of power, because he did not live up to expectation. Now, he says he's learned from his mistakes and he's here to fix the problem. Can't Dr. Bawumia say same?
No, hold on. First and foremost, you need to have the humility, first and foremost, to appreciate that, listen, I've made mistakes.
Okay.
There are things I could have done better. And President Mahama has never been the type who is that arrogant personality, who even when things are clearly wrong, pretends that he's not the problem and somehow somebody else is the problem. Even in office. Dumsor, that was not even caused by him. Because Dumsor actually started in the latter end of Prof. Mills. Dumsor happened previously under Rawlings, happened under Kufuor, happened under Prof. Mills as well. So he was not the cause, but he took responsibility. He never lied about it. He never pretended somebody else was the cause. He never blamed another person. He took that responsibility and did what he did. He said, I will fix it, and he did fix it. That's an individual that shows credibility. An individual who is honest enough to say, you know what, yeah, things are difficult. I am in charge. I should be able to do better. And he took responsibility to that. That is leadership. As opposed to another person who, in the blatant view of everybody, with an economy that has crashed under your watch, as the one who is in charge of the economy, because you are the head of the economy management team. You were the one that used to come to parliament every time budget is going to be read because you thought that things were going well. Today, is even showing what you call the level of, should I call it, cowardice, to even try to run away from that economy. By now positioning yourself as some digitalization messiah, you are simply a coward. You're running away from responsibility.
You're calling the vice president a coward.
He's actually a big coward. Because cowardice means you don't have the courage to be able to own up to your mistake. You don't have the ability to show that you're responsible.
But that's our vice president, with all due respect. Don't you think that you're being too...
But cowardice is not an insult.
I'm not saying it's an insult, by the way.
Cowardice just shows that you're having what you call a certain moral weakness. And as leader, you must have courage to own up to your mistakes. You must have the ability to say, you know what, I take responsibility for this. And I will do something to fix it. But he hasn't got that. And that lack of moral courage, that lack of moral strength speaks to the fact that he actually should not even be dreaming about going to even a higher position, which is the position of president. If you do not have what it takes to show responsibility as vice president, to show honor, to show courage, to show strength, you clearly lack what it takes, morally speaking, attitudinally speaking, to actually want to even go to a much higher position. Because if I can trust you as vice president, if under your watch the economy has suffered the way it suffered, crashed the way it suffered, if your words have shown to be lacking any amount of credibility, you have shown to be so untrustworthy, why on earth should a much bigger position be given to you? Why should the destiny of 30+ million Ghanaians be placed into the hands of somebody who has shown to be so untrustworthy, so unreliable, so lacking of moral strength and conviction to tell the truth? Why would that person be trusted for a much? The Bible says, and to him, much is given, much is expected, right? That if the little is given to you, you prove to be unfaithful, much more should not be granted to you. He has proven to absolutely be found wanting with the little responsibility of vice president.
Okay.
Why on earth should the country give you a much bigger responsibility?
So the NDC is not threatened by his flag bearership? The
thing is that NDC, we respect the fact that MPP as a party is a strong party.
Okay.
Because don't forget, I mean, we've been in this journey together with MPP since 1992. As it is at the moment, it's tied up. We won 2 times continuous journey runnings. Again, we won again Prof. Mills. So they've also about got the same.
Yeah.
So now is the time to have what you call the tiebreaker. So we respect that, and we are going to approach this election with that in mind. We are not going to go about trying to, let's say, look down on the chances of the MPP and say that Bawumia is damaged, and therefore we are going to take our eye off the ball. Because don't forget, we are dealing with people who are not just what you call very, very determined to hold on to power. They are also people who are proven time and again that when it comes to winning power, they will stop at nothing. They don't have any limitation to the levels of unscrupulous behavior they can show. For example, if you remember, even the last election, I mean, 8 people died in the first time in our history simply because a party was desperate to hold on to power. That is the level of desperation we're talking about.
You're disappointed they have not done anything about the 8 people who have passed?
No, it's not just about that. The very fact that we even had to go to that low, even Rawlings, as a former military leader, when you run for election in this country, we never saw anybody killed during an election. In 92, never happened. 96, that was a military leader. If there was anybody under whom such a thing should happen, it should have been Rawlings. Never. Never has it happened before. And it happened under the watch of Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. That tells you how low they've taken this country. So when you are fighting such people in any election, you need to appreciate that you simply cannot be complacent. You have to keep your eye on the ball and make sure you do what you do to wrestle power, not just from them, but for the sake of Ghana. Because trust me, this election is not about NDC. It's about the very soul of Ghana. And what these guys have done is to literally cover the soul of Ghana. The soul of Ghana is at a very, very, very low ebb. And it's important to make sure first we take power out of them and then start the process of reconstructing our country and building the Ghana we all want. So
soul healing journey is what the NDC is embarking on?
Yeah, definitely. That's important.
I see.
Critical.
I see. That's interesting. But I mean, you still have quite a number of years as General Secretary ahead of the 2024 elections, and this will be my final question. What are you doing in order to ensure that, you know, the party is united, which is very important? And again, money does not play a critical role in the elections coming forward, because you had said initially, even when you won, that money was not going to play a role. And then during the NDC primaries, gas cookers were being shared, rice was being shared. There was someone who was bold enough to stand on top of a vehicle and spread money at the election center.
Now, are you talking about the general election, that money should not be involved in the general election?
Well, I'm asking because this has become a problem, not just with the NDC, not just with the NPP, but generally.
If we're talking about general election, for instance, if it's a question of money, then obviously you know exactly where to point your finger.
Where do I point my finger?
It will be the party that is in government that has access to what you
call. But that's why I've cited examples of what happened in the NDC primaries, where money was shared, gas cookers were shared. And in fact, we even had the Office of the Special Prosecutor invite Madam Juliana to come and answer questions.
I understand that. No, let me try to focus a bit more on the general election, because that's the one ahead of us.
Okay.
Now, when money come into the picture, I believe you cannot put anything past, because as long as you have a ruling party that is desperate and they have access to the resources of the country, they will throw money. Definitely, that one you have to expect that. What we need to do is to make sure we prepare for the worst.
Which is?
Just like we did, for example, in Asinov. We knew, for example, that they were going to throw money. We knew, for example, they were going to stop at nothing by even though pretending that they care about the people suddenly by now going to do infrastructure and stuff like that. But we went into that election, committed that first of all, we will do everything to stop any attempt to steal that election. We will stop any attempt to compromise our own agent by throwing money at them. We will make sure we prepare ourselves. We got our data and our what you call research on point. We were ready on election day with the little resource we had to make sure we do what we got to do. The people we knew were going to vote to turn out in their numbers, and we were able to deliver. So that actually was what you call a typical pilot of some of the things we do. I can't give every single detail as you expect.
I see. But what have you done to the individuals who clearly were reported sharing money, sharing gas cookers and all that? As a party,
are you talking about the parties, sir?
Well, yes. Now I'm talking about the NDC, because then you also have a history of using money. Of course, some of the delegates using money to induce delegates, etc. What has the party done about that to ensure that moving forward it will not happen again?
You know that's a whole conversation that we must really have. It's a much longer conversation. The whole issue about monocracy. Yeah. Sometimes, you know what? It's made to appear as if it's simply a one-way traffic, but it's not. It's invariably a much deeper. That's why we need time to have that conversation. Okay. Because don't forget, it's not just limited to political parties at all. It's a very society-wide kind of thinking. A thinking by our people that listen, well, if somebody needs your help, especially politically, the person must pay. Okay. That is coming from a much deeper level. So it's not a conversation that simply depends on a political party to resolve. It's a society-wide conversation because it's two-way.
Well, we'll have that conversation much later. We'll bring you back into the studios as the General Secretary for the NDC to tell us, of course, what exactly the party is doing to at least curb that situation internally. But we're inviting you to the all-white party on the 28th of December. It's happening at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. It's organized by 3FM. All right. And so we hope that you'll be there.
Thank you for the invite. I definitely would make every effort. So if unless I'm taken out of town.
You are not going anywhere. We're keeping you here.
We have to
so please buy a table for the NDC leaders so that they can come and enjoy. But who's your favorite artist, by the way?
I like a number of them. But,
are you a Manifest person, Stonebwoy?
I like Stonebwoy.
You like Stonebwoy? Guess what? He's performing.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
so he has just promised, AJ, I hope you're watching, he has just promised to buy 2 tables for all the leaders within the NPP. And careful. The NDC, pardon me.
I hope that's not monocracy, though, the way you're
no. This one, we're marketing and selling to you at this point. We said come and chill, have fun. Because he said it's been a long year of work.
Yeah, that's true. It's been.
So we'll see you there on the 28th. AJ, I will send you his number, please. Call him so that he gets a table. But thank you so much, Mr. Fiifi Fiavi Kwetey, for joining us. Final words, it's almost Christmas. What would you say?
I wish all the viewers the best of the season. We pray that the season will bring us blessings, safety for all of us, especially in our travels, comfort to the families. We know it's been a very difficult year. It doesn't promise to be any better as long as our friends are in power. But please hang in there. Keep hope alive. Next year, by this time, you at least know that a change has happened, and that change will portend something better for the country.
Actually, next year by this time, election would have been over.
Absolutely, and we are certain that we would have seen the back of this elephant and the country, giving the country some hope for a better future.
I see. Remember, there's butterfly as well, so you never know. Maybe the
no
butterfly
problem.
could kick the umbrella and the elephant.
After the umbrella goes triumphant, the butterfly will fly around.
I see. I hear you.
Sure
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Pleasure.
Mr. Fiifi Fiavi Kwetey is the General Secretary for the NDC. It's been a pleasure. And we have one more conversation coming up. Keep watching. This is TV3 New Day.